Hello people, it's Menenberg coming to you with part 3 of the short answer question series. Now listen, if you have been watching the previous videos, this is actually the 4th video. The first video was a broad overview of the short answer question on the AP History exams. That's APUSH, AP Modern World History, and AP European History. The second and third videos covered the first 2 letters of the ACE formula. Answer the question and cite specific evidence. In this video, the third of the ACE formula, we will explore how to expand or explain that evidence. And we're going to be using the same prompt that we've been using in the previous 2 videos. You may have noticed that my background changed, my shirt changed. Would you believe we had a couple of technological issues? I mean, according to you old people, or you young people rather, I'm really old. I'm a boomer, even though I wasn't necessarily born in that generation. Regardless, I'm learning how to use technology in ways I never thought possible. So hopefully these videos are getting just a little better every time. In any case, let's dive in to expansion or explanation of the evidence. Before we look at our options, let me just say this. This is probably the hardest element of the short answer question. Many students don't even attempt it because they don't know what to do and they wind up just repeating themselves. So let's look at some options and see what looks good for explanation or expansion on the evidence. First, let's reread our prompt. It says, analyze one reason why the Mandate of Heaven was developed by the Zhou dynasty in China. Okay, so we're looking for the why. In our previous video, for the specific evidence, we said that the reason was because they wanted to legitimize the rule, the overthrow, rather, of the previous emperor of the Shang dynasty. So here, we have 3 choices. One was all in all, this is the reason the Zhou dynasty created the Mandate of Heaven. Now, if you've had me as a teacher or know me at all as an English teacher, which I also teach, please understand that this phrase, all in all, is the worst. It is one of the things I hate more than anything when it comes to English writing. Now, I see it all the time. I know some of you teachers out there watching this are thinking like, well, all in all, it's great, love it. It's terrible. It's really terrible for this, but it's especially terrible in English writing because it's just a throwaway phrase that basically says, in conclusion, which is also kind of lazy. Okay, people, we can write better than that. In this case, this statement, though, does not add anything to our answer. Instead, what it does is just say that we are putting an exclamation point on our answer, we're filling space, we're wasting time, and we're adding nothing new. We're looking for an explanation or expansion. That doesn't do this. That just ties it up at the end. Okay? Nothing added. Now, I'm not saying you can't add that. I'm saying that doesn't get you the E on the ACE formula. Next choice. The Mandate of Heaven became a very important part of Chinese culture. No. No. That's not untrue. It's simply another throwaway. A big thing that a lot of students do with this expansion attempt is they give these broad, sweeping generalizations about history, and they end up saying almost nothing of consequence. In this case, they're generalizing the entire Chinese culture, which has been around for thousands of years, and they're applying the Mandate of Heaven to all of it. Now, that's not to say the Mandate of Heaven hasn't been around a long time. The Zhou dynasty is a long, long time ago, and the Mandate of Heaven continued for many, many dynasties. However, the Chinese culture, as it were, is a little bit more dynamic and diverse than that. So please do not think you're getting any expansion or explanation of your evidence by simply having a broad generalization. A terrible thing that a lot of students do on this that is similar to that is they say, and we still see that today. Okay, where? How? Does it look the same? Is it the same? No, it's probably not. So please don't think that this type of statement is going to get you there. Instead, by process of elimination, we can assume that our third option is the right option. Let's see what it says. It says, by appealing to a higher power, the Zhou dynasty were able to consolidate power and would set a precedent that future Chinese dynasties would continue to use. Okay, now I admit, at the end of this, we get a little bit of that second option, don't we? That's fine. I'm not saying you can't include that. But that first part of this statement or this sentence is what gets you your expansion or explanation. Because what it does is, it explains how doing the mandate of heaven was effective. So in the first part of the specific evidence, you're saying why they used it, and in the explanation, you're saying why it worked, right? You can do something for any number of reasons. That doesn't mean it's going to work, right? I could go shoot baskets, play basketball because I'm bored and want to relieve some stress. It doesn't mean I'm going to be hitting any of them. I might miss every single shot. Well, this worked because the Zhou dynasty understood the people of China responded to this idea of a higher power. Okay? And by giving themselves credibility that way, they were actually able to consolidate and hold on to power for a very, very long time using this idea. Okay, so it was effective because of this. That's what the explanation does. Now, there are other ways to get the explanation or expansion point, but one other way I'd recommend, similar to this, is to give another detail. So that's expansion, giving another detail or a specific piece of evidence related to your earlier piece of evidence, okay? It's just demonstrating to the reader that you really, really know what you're talking about. You're not just doing that shotgun approach and throwing a bunch of random facts at us. You are showing that it's really interwoven, it's connected especially to that prompt that we're asking for, okay? So don't just throw away this point. You gotta give it a shot. Remember, you need all three of the ACE components, more or less, to get that point for that prompt, okay? Here's a couple quick common errors. Vague, again, this is kind of what we demonstrated earlier. No connection between evidence and answer, simply restates the answer, conclusion or summary. These are all very, very similar. This is probably the most common though, not attempted at all. Our final product, just to bring it back, for those of you who maybe haven't watched these earlier videos, this is what your full answer should look like. One reason why the mandate of heaven was developed by the Zhou dynasty was to legitimize the rule of the emperor. As the Shang dynasty came to an end, Zhou leadership needed to justify their overthrow and install their own Emperor Wu. By appealing to a higher power, the Zhou were able to consolidate power and would set a precedent for future Chinese dynasties would continue to use. Okay? That's what it is. That's our final answer. Now, I gotta emphasize this. That is not the only answer. That is certainly not the only way you could answer that same prompt. You can get that point a number of different ways. In fact, most AP readers have a list, a short list, 5, 6, 7 different probable options. Yours doesn't even need to be on that list. There's other stuff, there's so much history that could answer a variety of different prompts. In this case, certain prompts like this is a little more narrow, right? There's not like 50 different reasons why the Zhou dynasty used the mandate of heaven. But you can answer it in different wording, and you have your own style and you have your own method, and perhaps during the test you're going to have, you know, an epiphany and just put out like something completely different and more eloquent than this. This just works, okay? That's what the point I'm trying to make. Now, as you write the SAQs, you're going to encounter a variety of different prompts that are going to challenge you to use all of the different historical thinking skills and probably integrate some of those AP themes that we're going to be talking about this year. So it's really important that you get those things down and understand how it applies to your specific short answer question.